With the release of the Halo Infinite beta for multiplayer, with the release of the campaign on December 8th, I wanted to talk about the bad and the good of Halo Infinite. But first, I really wanted to talk about the bad because for me, it's a big deal considering a lot of people have really good PCs and have PCs in general that can run this game at optimal settings. This is a 4K build, and I expected better results. As mentioned previously, while there is a lot of really great things about Halo Infinite, and I will be touching the base with all those things, those things are very, very much what players are asking for, what fans are asking for. The fact that they've been focusing more on what the people want rather than what they want, it's great. The Battle Pass aside, I still don't think there should have been a Battle Pass just because those who played like Halo 3 and all the old Halos unlock those kind of things along the way just by playing the game. But we're going to touch on that in just a bit. I want to focus more so on the bad because while the game is very good and a lot of people are talking about the good things, there's a lot of really bad things that are being highlighted but aren't the main focus of the Halo Infinite beta. And with these improvements, it can make this game amazing. This game is already very good, but there's a lot of bugs, issues, OP aim assist, not to mention the very, very poor optimization of this game. It's not a healthy experience. It's not terrible, though. For a free-to-play experience, this has been one of the best that has come out in a very long time. Not the best, but still a very good start. Okay, so this is a little bit of a benchmark that I'm trying to do here. I'm just going on what is the biggest, if not second biggest map. There is one about the same size, but it's a nighttime map. I wanted to go with this map because there's wildlife and creatures that roam around. There's a lot to play with. It's a fairly big map, pretty popular one, run into pretty often on big team battle. Now, the frame rate runs at around an average of 120, 123, as far as I've seen with these settings. I'm going to reveal the settings in just a moment, just so you can get the gist of what I'm trying to get at here. For the most part, the frame rate's fine. With the settings that I have right now, the frame rate's fine. But for the specs that people are running nowadays, they have their new 30 series cards, they have their 10th generation and up CPUs, and they have really good specs. Like it's a lot better than an Xbox Series X would have, which isn't that it doesn't run well on Xbox Series X, but it should run a little bit better considering the specs that people are running on their PCs. Now, keep in mind that this is just the beta, right? This is just one variation of what could possibly be happening with the game. But here are the settings, okay? And this is very important. Notice how the settings in general, I've adjusted them to be kind of extremely low for the most part. Like shadows are basically the lowest. Everything's basically low, medium, or high. But one thing that really bothers me, and you're about to see it in just a moment, my resolution scale is not 100%. And that's a problem. It doesn't run at 144 on 4K. I'm running a 4K build. I have a 4K 1ms 144Hz monitor, and I have to run this thing at 80% scale with most things on low to get even 120 on this map. And there is no full screen before you ask. There's only borderless full screen. They haven't put in a full screen setting yet. Once again, this is just in beta, so it's possible things may change. This is multiplayer beta, and the game during the Halo Insider ran even worse. In the Halo Insider program, I was part of it. There was a problem with the game itself. It was very, very, very poorly optimized. It was absolutely terrible. It ran way worse than it did now. Could hardly run 60 on max settings. So it's gotten a lot better, I will give it that. But keep in mind, what you're about to see is not complete until I restart the game. I have to restart the game for the actual changes to take place, for some of them, not all of them. But with everything at 100%, including the scale, everything's at maximum percent. We're not going to go to 102. That's too much. Notice how the frame dip is actually rather high. I have a 144Hz 1ms Asus monitor. It's 4K. It's a very good panel. It wasn't cheap either. It's a really good monitor. Now, with the specs that I have, having a 3090 and all this wonderful stuff, you'd think it could run better, but yeah, it kind of dips a lot. There's a lot of dipping, and going from 120 FPS with everything on near low and the resolution scale being nearly 2K rather than the 4K, it's not promising. These are not promising results. This is actually a huge letdown for me. So I'm going to restart the game now, and I'm going to let you guys see what it actually looks like when it's all said and done. Alright, so now with the game being fully restarted and everything being to the maximum, the resolution scale being at 100%, so now we're at a full 4K aspect ratio. Everything is it looks great. It looks phenomenal. Doesn't look too different, admittedly, but there is a noticeable difference. There's wildlife now because the wildlife has been turned on. There's going to be little hints and details that you wouldn't see normally. Look at the shading; it's beautiful. Look at the shadows; it's fully detailed. Now, the frame rate, on the other hand, it's running around 80 average. Okay, 82, sometimes 83, but it scales. It goes between 75 to 80-ish. It's not good. It's not promising. It's not what I was looking for, especially for the kind of build that I have. And I once again will put the specs in the description so you guys can see why I'm a little bit upset about all this. A little bit is an understatement. I'm very upset about this. The fact that I have to go near 2K scale, the fact that I have to lower everything, it just doesn't make any sense. One thing I have noticed, though, is that when changing the other settings with the scaling, it seems to not make much of a difference. So when I put everything on Ultra, but I lower the scale to 75% or 80%, I get around the same frame rate, so around 120 FPS, versus just lowering everything and reducing the scale to 75 to 80%. It literally doesn't make a single difference. Right now, the frame rate, as you can see, it's not too low considering what it's on. This started happening when I put on the Act Camo, but if I start moving, you'll notice that the frames dip pretty hard. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the scale back without changing any other settings. I'm going to lower it to 80%. And you're going to notice that what I said previously, it's going to be present. The frame dip is not as bad, and as well as the frames are around the same amount as when we first did the test with everything on near low. And it's around the same frames per second. There is a lot of dipping still. It goes to around maybe 95-ish on average. It's not a perfect benchmark, but you get my point. It's not up to par. Now, what I've gone and done is I've gone ahead and turned on my second monitor, and I opened up Discord, and I'm running everything in the background at the same time. That's why the frames have gone lower. This is just to show you guys that even without a second monitor on and Discord running in the background, the frames, right now I'm alt-tabbed, so that's why the frame rate is so hard, like so low. But now that I'm not alt-tabbed and I'm running around with Discord open and I'm running a second monitor, the frames have gone down even further. So if you want the best multiplayer experience, or even just the best experience in general, I would suggest with multiplayer, you don't need all these like high-end settings, right? I just tried to grenade jump. It clearly didn't work. I don't think that's even a thing anymore. But if you want the best experience for multiplayer and you don't care about how the game looks, I was just lowering the settings, changing your resolution scale. If you're running a 4K setup, if you're not running 4K, this game runs perfectly fine. My buddies have no issues running this game with 1080p setups, and it's fine. But 4K, it's really difficult to run 144 without having to lower everything basically to the lowest. And it sucks because you really want to enjoy this game to its fullest potential and how it looks. So with the campaign, when it comes out, I'm turning off my second monitor. I'm raising all the settings to maximum. Do not play this game in multiplayer with everything up. It just ruins your multiplayer experience. Now let's talk about the Battle Pass. So there's 2 Battle Passes currently because this week is the reset and there's a new Battle Pass. It's called Fracture Tenrai. There's new missions that are hovered with an orange kind of banner with a white star. These are event specific. They do give experience towards the normal Battle Pass, but they give 1 full level on the event Battle Pass, which I'm about to highlight to you. So now, the event Battle Pass currently, there are a few weeks of coverage with new stuff that comes out and new missions. Now, this is all free. The event one is all free, as you can see, and so far there's around 30 levels. Based on what is showing at the top, there is going to be new stuff on those timelines that it shows. So November 23rd to 29th, there's this stuff. Then January 4th to 10th, you get new stuff. As far as I can tell, that's what it's saying, because as I have seen a few things that are missing that they did highlight during the promotional video. This I'm not too sure of whether there's going to be new stuff, but based on what it's saying, there is new things during those 3 weeks that it's highlighted above. Now, the original Battle Pass, which we'll get to, is actually a little different. Each one of those little orange banner white star missions give you experience towards this Battle Pass as well. And with that being said, there's 100 levels of this Battle Pass. This has some free, some not free content. The free content is good for those who just want to hop in the game and play the game. You don't have to buy anything to enjoy this game. A lot of the stuff they give out for free is good enough, and you don't have to look good to play good, and you don't have to look good to have fun. It does help a lot, you know, to have that customization, At least for those who are, you know, hardcore customization fans, they like to make an art out of their character. So getting the Battle Pass isn't a bad thing either, because it's probably one of the more generous ones. It's 13 bucks and it has 100 levels. All the stuff that you get from it is pretty awesome, and the mix and match customization is pretty good too. Some things you can't mix with others depending on what time armor you have. The shop also has extra accessories and kind of purchases you can make if you don't plan on getting the Battle Pass and want things that are not in the Battle Pass, such as these little helmets, skins, chromas, all that stuff. All that stuff is here. It's not actually called a chroma, but I'm going to call it that. So there's a lot of variety when it comes to the shop, as well as the Battle Pass, the free event Battle Pass. So it's not full-on money grab. They do have a lot of microtransactions, but you don't have to get them to enjoy the game, like with most microtransaction-based games. It's not pay to win, it's pay to look good, if you want to look good. You don't need to, though. So they do have the Armor Hall, which lets you customize different types of armor types that do exist. So there's the Mark 7, there's Mark 5B, and inside of each one of these, there's actual different customization options that let you change how you look based on, like, let's say you want to look like a Halo Reach character, let's say you want to look like the Mark 7, the new helmet, or Halo Infinite that's being shown off. And you can also customize your weapons, add little trinkets, change their color, same thing with your vehicles. There's a lot of options in this game to play around with, but not all weapons can be customized, and not all vehicles can be customized. Keep that in mind. They may add features to that later on, but for now, this is it. This is all you get. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you guys some clips of me and my buddies playing, and seeing you guys kind of figure out on your own whether you want to play this kind of game. Now, Halo Infinite is very fun. If you are a classic Halo fan, you'll probably still love it. It's not exactly to a T like Halo, but it's very, very similar. Like, it's so close. They added a lot of new elements, which makes it really fun. And there's a lot of customization, a lot of kind of different ways to play the game. Like, for example, like how I did that, how I just kind of saved myself using the grapple hook. And you can also use the grapple hook to do stuff like this. You can hook onto vehicles and jack them. There's a lot of really fun moments, and yeah, I just unlocked the achievement. This is the first time I did it. It's a lot of fun. Like, there's so much you can do. So many things you can try. So many ways to kill people. You can deflect a vehicle into someone else and kill them with it. You can deflect rockets. You can grapple onto someone and then melee them. And then immediately start to shoot them or double melee them if you're that kind of player. There's just so many things you can do in this game. And it's a lot of fun. So I'm going to play some clips and let you guys figure out whether you guys want to experience these kind of moments like I have.
Yes, that is my stupid mission. Win and stop.
Where am I facing? What the
Oh, do you have the thing where you're facing backwards like me?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, sometimes it glitches out and you face different directions.
Don't run. It'll be the opposite direction. Turn around first.
Yeah, from what I heard,
oh my fuck.
Generally...
Cody, I got your back. I'm shooting you. I got you.
Oh no.
What is this camera angle? What the fuck is... Did you... What? Holy shit, please help me.
Where you at?
I'm over here. I don't know how I'm alive for all this, but I will take it. Oh, I need to get the kill with the sentinel beam. No, come back.
Go.
Thank you, got you.
Yes, thank you. Oh, the sentinel beam this week. Nice.
No scope. Oh, then me die.
I'd rather you die.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's some fucking gay shit. I got. Yes, Tom.
So those are just a few clips of some gameplay you can find, you know, on Halo Infinite. There's a lot of things you can do, there's a lot of things you can't do, and there's a lot of things that you didn't know you could do. There's a lot to do on this game. You'll figure it out as you play, but there's just a nice magical groove about playing this game. But, with that being said, I understand it's in beta, I understand that it's free to play, so I'm not expecting the best results ever, but there are just a few complaints I would like to outline. So yes, as mentioned previously, the Battle Pass is a little bit of a problem because it is still a little bit of slow gains. They've actually increased it because people are complaining, but they plan on enrolling more kind of patches to make the Battle Pass go a little bit faster because it is 100 levels and it does take a lot of time. The only reason why I'm at a level I am right now is because of using the EXP boost and because they reset the weeklies when I only had one left. So that's the only reason why I'm at such a high level right now. You can pay money to get increased levels, which is a little bit a little bit uncool. I don't really like that. I think it's just like, I understand if you have the money, you could do whatever you want with it, but it seems a little greedy for 343 to give that kind of option to. Another issue is the aim assist on controllers. For controller users on Halo Infinite, it's really, really strong right now. It's basically just tracking. There's actually videos that cover this, and I'm not going to be covering it fully because that's not the whole point of this video, and it's already been long enough as it is. I just want you guys to know that it does exist, and to actually maybe look at it, because it's very, very powerful. I would suggest staying away from controller queue or even open queue for ranked if you care about it. Because right now, it's really strong, and they need to fix that. There's some other bugs as well, such as hits not registering, the hit detection being off by quite a bit, actually. Another thing that actually bothers me a lot is meleeing. When you melee someone, sometimes it doesn't even register it. Let's say you both have no shields and you go in for the melee both at the same time, pretty much, and the melee animation does show. Usually you'll both die, but sometimes there'll be a rare occasion where, for some reason, the hit doesn't register on your end, and they just get away with it. They get away with it, no problem. They live and you die. Or another case where, for example, you hit someone in the back, it doesn't register it. You hit someone in general, it doesn't register it. And they're sitting there with full shield, you're trying to shoot them, and nothing becomes of it. They don't die. There's a few small glitches here and there. Some of them are just minor things that don't really impact gameplay, but sometimes when you spawn in, you'll spawn the opposite direction. Some of the spawns are actually pretty bad in terms of smaller maps. It's easy for someone to just camp a spawn from like a high up area. It happened actually to me earlier today, and it was kind of unfortunate because I just spawned in and then boom, there's a rocket in my face. It's a little bit out of control, but for a beta, this is pretty well handled. There was a bit of a hiccup in the beginning where people couldn't sign in, or it just blue screened or black screened depending on what console or platform you're on. It does happen sometimes with these kind of things. It's a beta, it was a surprise beta, and they're handling it pretty well considering. They're giving people what they're asking for almost immediately, such as XP increases, such as tweaks to how the game plays. So they're not leaving us in the dust, which is a really nice thing. So with the game modes and the queues that you have, there's only a few choices you really have, because everything at that point is just quick play with random game modes or big team battle with random game modes. Of course, there's rank queue, but rank queue is kind of, at the moment, I don't think there is a reward. There were rewards in previous games, but in this one, there is no reward for playing ranked. Such as Halo 5, when you got to a certain rank, you would get certain kind of drops. Now, with this being the case in this game, I can't comment on that. I have no idea. But there is open, and then there's solo duo. Solo duo lets you choose between keyboard and mouse or controller, who you run into and what you use to play with. I was just staying away from controller for now until aim assist is fixed. That as well as open queue. Now with that being said, I miss the classic look where you got to choose between game modes. This one is just random. It's just you play a game, and what you run into is what you run into. The problem with this is that when you have specific challenges coming in, people are going out of their way to ruin a game by going and doing things they're not supposed to when capture the flag, or let's say a stronghold, or anything like that. Any kind of objective-based game mode kicks in. And let's say you didn't even want to play an objective game-based mode anyway, you just wanted to kill a bunch of people. That's where Slayer comes in and lets you kind of do those challenges where you have to kill someone with a needler or kill someone with a mangler. But when you run into game modes like Capture the Flag, the players are going out of their way to try and get that weapon on a map like this or on quick play, and they're not focusing on the objective. So, with that being said, I really hope they change the way it works after the beta. When the beta ends, hopefully we run into a better version of the game, whereas like MCC or Halo 5, you get the different queues, you can choose what game mode you want to play. You're not running into a quick match. It's a beta. I get that. I get that it's a beta. Hopefully when the beta's all over, everything's said and done, we'll get those game modes that we all want. You know, people want to go and play Griffball again. That sounds fun. That sounds awesome. People want to go and play Slayer. They don't want to run to Capture the Flag. They go into a Slayer queue. They want to play Team SWAT. It's there. They want to play Lockdown. They want to play a bunch of different game modes. It will hopefully come our way, because at the end of the day, this is something that many people really, really want. People want these different game modes. People don't want to be stuck in a game mode they got RNG'd into. It's not fun. Not everyone's looking for that kind of thing. No, not everyone wants a mix and match of game modes. And it's probably because it is beta. It most likely is just because they don't want to bring out these different game modes if right now they need to focus on balance changes, they need to focus on game mode changes, they need to focus on mix and match. So with this kind of like pool of different choices that we play, without choice, of course, we don't really have a choice in the matter. We go into quick match, we get capture flag. They'll get some statistics, they'll find out what needs to be tuned. So after the beta is done, hopefully this changes. Hopefully we get these different cues. So with all the things we talked about, this is my general take on Halo Infinite multiplayer.